This event is to support all candidates here tonight. Let your voice be heard. Let you guys make a decision on who you would like in. If this turns south and gets into more of a lecture versus a question, it will be shut down, okay? I cannot have that here tonight, and they do not deserve that as well as you. So with that, I'm going to open the floor for discussion questions. You have up to 1 minute to ask your question, and all questions need to be asked from this podium, okay? And if you, there is a camera here, so please don't bump in the air, but if you just line up in an orderly fashion, and then we can ask the questions. Now, as candidates, each of you have 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes. You do not have to take the full 2 minutes. You have up to 2 minutes to address the question. And then we'll move on to the next question. Okay? Everybody's on board with the discussion? Okay? If you have questions that you would like to ask but do not want to come up here, write them on the index cards and get them to me. Either myself or I'll have somebody ask the questions. Okay. All right. So, Paul, you want to start? And if you would, just introduce yourself and then go ahead and ask your questions.
Hi, I'm Paula Nelson, and I actually live on the golf course. And this is what I could not ascertain from all of what you gentlemen were saying earlier. What I want to know is exactly who among you is for this project and for green space. So if I can start with you, Mr. Daggett.
I am for the green space, but not as currently designed. I guess that's the
Okay,
answer.
Mrs. Samuel.
Ms. Nelson, I think that a hybrid between the green space and a big open retention ditch would be the right way to go. I think we'd find that the purpose could be served for a lot less money.
Mr. Marmer.
I'm for the green space and for the design as it's done right now. The reason I'm for the design is because that design was put together by a large engineering firm who designed the detention facility itself and how it would operate, its downstream effects, the full and complete impact of that design. And then SWA, the architecture firm, put in all the amenities that are there. And those amenities are going to help not only the people in the community, but have a nice place to walk and do the other things that you might do in that green space. But it will also improve the values of the homes. Now, there's some people who don't agree with that, but I believe that it will do that.
Mr. Baxter.
We all agreed going into this that some retention was needed. We agreed to that when we bought into the $58 million bond. The current detention ratio is twice the amount of the City of Houston, Harris County Flood Control. Harris County Flood Control has said the ditches are adequate. It's not needed. I'm all for saving the trees that are on the golf course and creating some paths, some cardio paths, some physical therapy paths. What I'm saying to you is I'm against it in its current form. We all agreed that it would be implemented when the property was bought. I have done some schematic development that has backed off of that, and that's what I'm for.
Joe, you want me to skip over you? You can
I
answer.
can speak.
Yeah, please.
We did clear that.
Okay.
I have a resolution here I submitted in 2005 supporting the green space resolution. So, hey, I'm for it, like everyone else here is. To me, it's which program is wanted. 15 years, and if somebody can give me some better figures, I'll accept them. And $65 million, or 5 years and $17 million. I'm gonna tell you how old I am, but I don't have to take my shoes off anymore when I go through security at the airport. But I won't be around in 15 years to use the bike trails. But in my case, I would support what the citizens would want, and I look at this as a possible referendum on what they want, and I will support that. I just think it's a lot of money, a lot of time. I don't know that much about sewer, getting rid, drainage, the drainage sewer. But I think that's raw and goes directly into our bayous and that. Maybe miniature separation plants can be put in at much lower cost. I don't know. But anyway, I'd like to see a referendum on what the people want.
Joe, we hope no matter what, you're here in 15 years. So no matter what, you're here in 15 years.
You're a kind man.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson?
You might want to get out here.
That sun is quite bright. Think about this for a second. Harris County requires 6 inches, if you had a square foot, 6 inches, you have to store water for every square foot that you cover with impervious surface. But Brazoria County and Fort Bend County require 12 inches that you have to store, a cubic foot for every square foot that you cover. Why is that? Think about that. The reason it is because we get more rain on down here than the people on the other side of Harris County, and Harris County has to be for the whole county. Now, if you do what some people are suggesting for a plan, 6 inches is correct by Harris County, but not by Brazoria or Fort Bend, and that's why it's designed as large as it is. We get more rain down here. Yes, we do. And it comes out why? Because if downtown acts like a small hill. And so when the wind comes off the Gulf, it hits Houston, and the air comes up and it goes over. And it causes more rain down here, and that's why Brazoria and Fort Bend require the 12 inches.
Thank you. One last thing. Is everyone who is vying for a position on this board going to make sure there's something in place that there's no personal financial gain from any member of the board or any family members or any cronies attached? Can you give us that reassurance also?
You want to do it?
General Electric's my employer, they have no skin in the game.
Do you want to go each person?
Sure.
I work for Lockheed Martin. So, yeah, I'm fully employed, sometimes more than overemployed. But no, and I don't know very few people that actually operate their own businesses. Mostly is the major subcontractors that we deal with. So I don't plan on, don't even know anybody to even ask to make money on this kind of thing. So we're not planning to.
We just want to keep transparency.
No, I agree.
Full disclosure is, I'm a licensed broker, so technically, if your house value goes up, I could make money.
For me, no one in my family has businesses in the area that would be supported or improved in any way, shape, or form by any decisions that I might make on the board, as a board director on the Water Authority. And I'm a NASA civil servant, and I'm actually under very strict requirements as to what I'm allowed to do outside of NASA. So I see no possible way for there to be a financial conflict of interest for me as a member of that board.
I can't tell you how many countless hours that I've put into this so far, pro bono. It's coming from here. Absolutely have no interest in making any kind of money out of this. It comes from here, it's for the community. My family is from here, they're still here, and I come from grassroots here. Like I said, I'm a 4th generation Texan. I've lived in Harris County all my life, and absolutely will get no gain out of this. I'm here for the community, what they want, and to educate from the heart.
order of magnitude, these candidates to run for you probably have a campaign bill, maybe $2,500 to $5,000. And they do that, to get out and run and serve your people. My case, there would be no benefit if I were to be on the board.
I work for the state of Texas, and I have the same requirements that Thomas has. I sign forms every year that I have no conflict. No member of my family has any business that has any concern, relationship in any way, shape, or form with this. So there's no possible way that I'm aware of that I could make a profit from this.
Thank you, John.
My name is Ron Plant. I'm a precinct chairman, 718. And my question addresses a rumor I've heard. Wanted to get an answer on this. I said, I don't know if it's true, but I heard a rumor that one slate wishes to effectively or actually do away with Clear Lake Water Authority and lump us in with Houston, which from the numbers I've seen would triple our rates and our taxes. And if so, and if that is true, which side do you support? If you could go one at a time, please.
I do not plan or ever have talked about doing away with the water authority, or plans to.
It would be my ambition to help manage the district in such a way that it would never have that issue.
I am a strong supporter and have been my entire time I've been here, the Water Authority, and I want it to last for as long as it possibly can. I'm sorry that there's even a discussion by anybody that it might not last.
I agree with Tom. I grew up here, had people in high school that I went to high school with that used to work for the Water Authority. What people don't realize is how close we actually were from that board being dissolved. Good word. And that's why I speak about in Austin what happened. The last thing that we need is for this board to go away. And I want to put time in it to help that connection, to work with other municipalities to make that happen.
I support the board and the continuance of it.
I can add nothing to the way people have already said. It's a good board. I support it. Indeed, if you got, can I have about 20 seconds? Back in the 70s, this board, early 70s, was controlled by developers. And there's people in this room, we fought very hard to get control into the citizens, and that's when Safety got on the board. And since then, it's been controlled by citizens. And I'm proud of that.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, John Thompson, a resident of Clear Lake. I guess, what would you, everybody's in favor of a green space in general, but what would you specifically do to make sure that mosquitoes or odor were not a problem?
Well, first off, for those of us that have been on the Clear Lake City Community Association, Community Association actually puts and does the mosquito repellent. That's actually one of their big bills. So they actually do go around and control that. One of the things that I do not like about the new feature, the new water feature, I don't like the big water feature that's in the middle of it. One, I think it's an additional cost, and I don't think it's needed there, not only to dig it, but to maintain it. So I would be in favor of doing away with, you still have the detention ponds. They will be there, those will be there. Currently there's water in the ditches right now. There's coming in from the Highway 3 side that comes into my part of the water authority. There is about, I'll call it, an area of water, so is that 4 inches in diameter, that flows through there even during the 2011 drought, because I kept walking by and looking and going, okay, when is that water going to stop? So there's always some water naturally. I don't know, I haven't walked upstream to see where it comes out. And there's also some water that comes out of the other outflow of that. So there's some natural water there. So you can't do away with it all, but I'm just not in favor of adding to the water features.
I'll go next, I guess. The standing water always breeds mosquitoes. In fact, where I grew up in Southwest Florida, that was an elective position in the county. There are natural ways to abate mosquitoes, one of which is to not have standing water. Another thing is to keep your sewers and storm drains up to date so you don't have standing water, because mosquitoes will breed everywhere they find standing water. I think I've said standing water enough times.
I did put mosquitoes in there, but one of my other focus points was the odor issue. I guess I've heard different stories about what's gonna happen with the outfall.
We need to work on our infrastructure, and a lot of the odor issue won't be an issue.
So let me ask you a question about the outfall. Didn't understand that part of what we just said.
Yeah, is there some part of the plan that some type of stormwater, there's a difference between stormwater and sewage.
Sure.
Is there sewage, treated sewage outlet that's gonna be going into these retention
The
areas?
current plan has what's called reuse water coming from the plant and going through there to keep the water moving so there isn't standing water. The quality of the reuse water coming out of the Clear Lake City Water Authority, and I've actually looked into this because I've heard this statement, is given grade A, which means that the Water Authority could actually pump the water back into the water table, into the aquifer, exactly right. There's no additional treatment needed. There's no smell from the water. It looks like the water that came in these bottles. And the only difference between that water and the water that we drink is one additional step that they add to that water. There's nothing that's bad about that water. I've actually seen a sample of the water, and as I said, it looks just like the water in this bottle. So to my knowledge, it has no odor whatsoever, and it is currently designed to always be moving. With respect to the mosquitoes, the design that the Texas A&M University has helped with is to add in natural and native grasses to the detention area, and those native grasses are there, and they'll do multiple things. They'll filter the water as it comes off the land and goes through the detention area, and they'll also reduce the likelihood of the mosquitoes that are there. Once again, there won't be standing water supposed to move off, and additionally, it's going to attract the different animals that come and like mosquitoes. And the hope is, and it's our understanding from the design and from the people at Texas A&M, that it will reduce those problems as much as possible. The communities will still have to spray. My community in Forest sprays all the time, but they're doing everything they can to keep it as low as possible to make sure there's no standing water.
Okay, so your question is about the mosquitoes, correct?
Mosquitoes and odor.
And the odor, okay. I've dealt with projects directly with wetlands here in this area. And with wetlands, you can't mow it, you can't spray it, it is what it is. There's 39 acres of wetlands in this current plan. I've developed a plan that has the wetlands at the end, that the filtering that Mr. Morrow speaks of. That's where you filter all the fertilizers, the oil, everything out. So it brings everything down. We create habit not only for mosquitoes, but for alligators. You've probably just heard the last several days about the alligator that was on Clear Lake City Boulevard. The odor, I've actually talked to one of the employees of the board, and I asked him the same question. I said, what about the odor? And he said, well, if we start getting complaints, then we'll clean it better. Because with effluent water, the state of California, they clean that water, that effluent, 20 times better than the state of Texas does. And yes, it's clear, but it still has things in it that you'll never get out of. So with the wetlands, you have to go through the Corps of Engineers. You can't touch it. You're gonna have mosquitoes. With the effluent water, like he says, it will trickle down through there, and it will go on each side of Bay Forest, push that brackish water out, and it will be effluent water in those two Harris County flood control easements. You will have it there.
I can't speak with professional authority on this subject, but I'll share with you what I've heard over the years. I'm a golfer, or have been a golfer. The Bay Oaks Country Club and the Clear Lake City Golf Course they have been watered by effluent from the waste treatment plant. However, I just have one source on this. The golf course manager said he can tell the difference in the fairways, whether the water has been watered artificially or by rainwater. I never smell anything bad when I walk the course. I've also seen on television where operators for a waste treatment plant will actually drink the water after it's gone through. My understanding, the water is not of that high a quality from this treatment plant, but these cost money to upgrade them. For the mosquitoes, I'd have to consult an environmentalist on that.
Well, this has been very interesting. I actually have gone through that sewer plant several times. Let me tell you a little about it that you might, I thought was interesting. The sewerage is treated, and it reeks when it comes in, and it's treated as it's done in every plant that I'm aware of. But about 10 years ago, Clear Lake City Water Authority, even after they worked very hard to get this water clear, it's what Steve said, there's a lot of nasty stuff in there. And so they did something that no sewer plant in the state of Texas has ever done. They built a ditch, it's probably from that wall to this wall, concrete ditch. It's probably 20 feet wide and maybe, and I don't know exactly, but I'm saying 6 feet, could be 8 feet, could be 10 feet. And the water, when it leaves the final treatment at the plant, but before it goes into that ditch, it goes down this trench. And there's a roof over the top. And I would encourage every one of you that's curious to make arrangement with the Water Authority to go see this. And now I'm going to tell you what it is. There's rods that go from one side to the other, poles, about a foot apart. So from that wall to this wall, you can count how many feet. And from each one of these rods going across about a foot apart or less, there's a rod that goes from the top to the bottom. It's not a rod, it's an ultraviolet tube. It emits ultraviolet light. And it's a foot apart. So there's probably 15, maybe more across, and I don't know how many there. So this water gets exposed to ultraviolet light again and again and again. And that's why they can drink it at the other end. Almost all the bacteria is killed, the good, the bad, and the otherwise. That's why it can be used to feed cattle. And why up in the middle of Odessa, they use that water because they're short. They pump it down, just what Morrill said, back down, and they suck it back up and they drink. That water doesn't smell. That's nonsense. They use it now on a golf course. What do you think those ponds are filled with?
I have one more question if there's time. Any other questions?
You.
Oh, go ahead.
I would like each one of you to explain what the Conservancy is going to look like in this. This is a water board and they're in charge. Who's going to be in charge of the Conservancy? Assumes responsibility.
The only thing I know about the Conservancy is because again, one of the issues I have is with the water authorities, that not everything is publicized. So I don't know what the rules and regulations are, what the arrangement is. I've heard that the only thing I've heard in a couple of public meetings is that the Conservancy is going to take over once the water authority finishes with this section. I don't know what the role is. I know that there are 2 members of the board of the water authority board or work with the Conservancy. Other than that, I don't know what goes on, so it's hard to gauge what the rules are because I haven't seen or been able to read whatever the agreements are.
Since we seem to be going in order, I'm going to simply say that I'm going to let those who made the Conservancy speak to it, and I am running for the Clear Lake City Water District as a director, and I have neither support of nor adversity towards the Conservancy, but I'm not planning on dealing with them. I'm planning on doing the job that the director should do.
setting the time. So as I understand the Conservancy, it's a group of community volunteers that came out of the original green space group that got together. And they said that they would take on the responsibilities associated with doing a portion of the development in the green space area. The Conservancy itself is constantly looking for members of the community to come forward and volunteer. Like an association, they hold elections, and they want people to come and help them. So it would be a group of community members who live in the area, who care about the area, and who want to keep that, the new detention and the new facilities that are there as good as they can possibly be for everybody in the community. That's how I understand the Conservancy. I've never been a member of the Conservancy, but that's how I understand it. I also understand that there's an advantage to it in that the whole concept is that that land will be set up so that it can never be developed by any developers. There can't be houses put on there, there can't be apartments put on there, and the Conservancy is very important to that because it allows it to be removed from the decisions of the Water Authority once it's implemented as to what. Once the entire plan is implemented, the Water Authority can't suddenly vote to sell the land to somebody because the people, the members of the board change over time. And that land will be protected in perpetuity against any development whatsoever. And that's certainly something I definitely do support.
I don't know a whole lot about the Conservancy. I know that they're supposedly seeking nonprofit status, and 2 board meetings ago, they pulled $350,000 out of phase 26 of this last bond to go to advertising for that Conservancy, and that bothers me. I realize that the Conservancy will take over once the dig, for whatever it is, happens, and they are supposed to take care of it. There's other ways to keep development from happening. I was involved in the beginning with Voltman and the whole process there, and I expressed interest if you create a 1-foot landscaper buffer around that land without changing that plat, you cannot develop it. Plain and simple. I've had it on several projects. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I can't add any more than what these other candidates have stated.
The Conservancy is going to be a 401c3. They've applied to it. It's the Internal Revenue Service, and it's a little slow to get through. They hope to have it before the end of the year. It's already been approved by the state of Texas. It's, what can I say? It will do the things that the Water Authority can't do. The Water Authority will maintain the retention ponds, but everything else will be done by the Conservancy. The Water Authority is not going to put in trails, they're not going to maintain trails, they're not going to put in swings, anything, nothing. They're only going to take care of the ponds, the lakes, the islands. And there are going to be islands here, I don't know if you folks realize that, with no bridges, so that birds can live there without being damaged by cats and other creatures.
Hi, my name is Debbie Roan, and I live in the Clear Lake area. I've heard some pretty large numbers thrown around, and as a person that gets a bill from the Clear Lake City Water Authority every month, I'm interested on what your philosophy is with regard to the billing situation, how conservative you would be with our money, and will these 2 plans impact our water rates?
One of the things that I do, like I said, do for a regular living, I want to see what is the total cost? You know, we've heard numbers here tonight. What are the total costs for all the projects that are going on? One of my past jobs has been as cost management, and where we manage our letters begin with D's, but I won't go into that. But you know, where are each of these projects? you know, we passed bond money. How is that bond money going?